What if the one private habit you felt guilty about for years is actually the exact thing that could be quietly destroying your prostate right now or saving it without you ever realizing which one it is? I'm serious. Stop and think about that for a second, because right now, as you're watching this, 97 out of every 100 men over 65 have absolutely no idea what the real medical answer is, and most will go to their grave never finding out. Why? Because nobody talks about it. You can't exactly bring it up at the golf club or over coffee with the grandchildren, can you? And yet, every single night when you wake up 2, 3, even 5 times needing the bathroom, or when you hear the word prostate and your stomach tightens because you know 1 in 8 of us will face cancer, this exact question is sitting there in the back of your mind like a shadow you're afraid to turn the light on. The shame, the embarrassment, the fear that maybe something you did for decades or something you stopped doing years ago when desire faded or your partner passed has been slowly stacking the odds against you. I get it. I really do. Most men your age would rather change the subject than admit they even think about this anymore. But here's the truth: the big studies from Harvard and Johns Hopkins have been shouting for almost 20 years. How often you ejaculate after 60 isn't just about pleasure or feeling like the man you used to be. It actually changes your risk numbers in a very big way. And the craziest part, the answer isn't what the old wives' tales told us, and it isn't what the church told us either. It's sitting in cold, hard medical data that most doctors won't mention because they're every bit as uncomfortable as we are. But today, in the next few minutes, I'm going to lay it all out for you straight, the exact frequency that the longest studies on Earth say protects the prostate, the point where it can start to hurt instead of help, what world famous urologists actually tell their private patients, and the simple plan you can follow starting tonight. No judgment, no embarrassment, just the facts you deserve to know so you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm doing everything I can. Stick with me to the end, because by the time this video finishes, you'll finally know where you stand, and a lot of men are going to sleep easier tonight because of it. If you're over 60 and you care about staying healthy down there, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss the truths doctors don't volunteer, and let's get into it. You already know something isn't right down there, don't you? That weak stream that takes forever to start, the dribbling that leaves you standing over the toilet longer than you'd ever admit to anyone, or the 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 trips to the bathroom every single night that steal your sleep and leave you dragging the next day. You've probably told yourself, well, I'm getting older, this is just what happens, and you're not wrong that it's common. By age 85, 9 out of 10 men have an enlarged prostate pressing on the urethra like a garden hose with a kink in it. But here's what keeps me up at night thinking about men like you. 1 in every 8 of us will hear the words, you have prostate cancer. In our lifetime, and right now in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Australia, prostate cancer is quietly killing more men every year than ever before, even though we have better treatments than our fathers did. And the really frightening part, most of us never feel a thing until it's already growing. No pain, no warning, just a silent time, bomb sitting below the belt. Now here's the bit that makes my blood run cold when I read the research. The latest studies are showing that what you do, or more often what you stopped doing in the privacy of your own bedroom, could be feeding that growth or starving it more than almost any pill your doctor hands you. Think about it. When we were younger, most of us ejaculated several times a week without even thinking about it. Then life happened. Maybe the wife got sick, maybe desire dropped off, maybe the pills for blood pressure or the prostate itself made things harder, and week after week, month after month, it just stopped. And nobody warned us that completely shutting that system down might be like leaving dirty water sitting in a pipe. Things start to build up that were never meant to stay there. I'm not trying to scare you for no reason, but when you realize that the average man over 70 is now ejaculating less than 4 times a month, and sometimes not at all, and then you look at the cancer numbers climbing in that exact same group, you have to ask, are we accidentally making this worse ourselves? Stay with me, because in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to show you what the biggest studies on the planet discovered when they followed tens of thousands of men for almost 20 years. And trust me, the results shocked even the researchers. All right, let's cut straight to the chase, because if you're still here after hearing those nighttime bathroom trips, might be a sign of something building up unchecked. You deserve the hard facts from the biggest names in medicine, not some internet rumor. Picture this: back in 1992, Harvard kicked off what would become the gold standard study, tracking over 32,000 healthy American men. Guys just like you, professionals in their 40s and 50s at the start, who filled out detailed questionnaires every 2 years about everything from diet to exercise. And yes, how often they ejaculated, counting sex, solo time, or even those unexpected nighttime ones. Fast forward 18 years to 2010, and the numbers don't lie. Out of those men, 3, 8, or 39 got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and the pattern was crystal clear. Compared to the baseline group, who reported just 4 to 7 ejaculations a month across their adult lives, the men hitting 21 or more times a month, their overall risk dropped by a whopping 20%. That's not a fluke. It's statistically rock solid, even after adjusting for things like family history, smoking, or how often they got PSA tests. And get this, the protection was even stronger for the low risk, early stage cancers that sneak up on so many of us over 65, slashing the odds by up to 31% in some breakdowns. Now, Johns Hopkins jumped in early with their own deep dive into the same health professionals follow, up data confirming no link to higher risk from frequent activity, but instead spotlighting how those higher numbers in your 20s and 40s could be quietly paying dividends decades later, flushing out potential trouble before it settles in. Over in the UK, the British Journal of Urology echoed this in their reviews of global data, noting how men averaging 4.6 to 7 ejaculations a week, about 5 times weekly, were 36% less likely to face diagnosis before 70, based on large Australian cohorts they analyzed alongside Harvard's work. But let's hear it from the experts themselves. Dr. Jennifer Ryder, the Harvard epidemiologist who led that massive update, put it plain and simple when she said, safe sexual activity could be good for prostate health. And Dr. Michael Leitzman from the National Cancer Institute, who crunched the early numbers, drove it home with, frequent ejaculation is not associated with a higher risk for prostate cancer, but may be linked to a decreased risk of the cancer. These aren't opinions. They're from peer-reviewed papers that have held up under fire for years. The fear hits hard when you realize most men your age have slowed way down without knowing this could be tipping the scales the wrong way. But here's the excitement. If even half those numbers feel out of reach now, the studies show benefits kick in from far less. Just getting back to 8 to 12 times a month starts moving the needle. Hang tight, because next I'm breaking down that exact sweet spot. Frequency the data says works best after 60, and why your body might surprise you more than you think. If this is hitting home and you want more straight talk on staying ahead of prostate worries, give this video a thumbs up. It helps other guys find it too. So here's the number that made doctors sit up straight when Harvard first published it: men who averaged 21 or more ejaculations a month. That's roughly 5 times a week, had around a 20-30 Went, sent lower risk of prostate cancer compared to the guys who were down in the 4 to 7 range. Yes, you heard that right, 21. And before you click away thinking that's impossible after 65, stay with me, because the protection curve starts climbing long before you hit 21, and even 8, 12 times a month still gives a measurable drop that can make a real difference. Why does it work? The simplest explanation researchers keep coming back to is the stagnant fluid or toxin flush theory. Every time you ejaculate, the prostate basically empties its storage tanks. Fluids that have been sitting there for weeks get pushed out, along with tiny amounts of potential carcinogens that build up from everyday metabolism, environmental pollutants, even charred meat on the barbecue. Leave that stuff sitting month after month, and it's like letting pond water go green. Things start to concentrate that were never meant to stay. Flush the system regularly and you lower the exposure. Dr. Edward Schaefer, chair of urology at Northwestern, said it plainly in an interview. Ejaculation appears to clear the pipes. Now here's the part most videos won't tell you after 65. It's actually possible to overdo it too. If you suddenly try to hit 21 when your body's been running on empty for years, some men notice irritation, a heavy feeling, or even temporary worsening of urinary symptoms because the pelvic floor muscles get tired. Zinc gets depleted faster than you can replace it. And if you already have prostatitis or an enlarged prostate, aggressive stimulation can flare things up. The same Harvard team noticed the protective effect flattened out and even dipped slightly in the very highest groups once men passed 70. So the real sweet spot for most of us now isn't chasing our 30-year-old numbers, it's finding the personal Goldilocks zone, usually somewhere between 8 and 15 times a month, where you're flushing regularly without exhausting the system. Think of it like gentle irrigation instead of turning the fire hose on full blast. The exciting part, your body still responds. Even if things don't work the way they used to, the prostate doesn't care how you get there, sex solo, or even the occasional wet dream counts in the studies. Keep with me, because next I'm going to explain why so many of us quietly let this habit disappear after 70, and why starting again, even modestly, can feel like giving your prostate a new lease on life. Let's be honest with each other for a minute. Somewhere along the line, most of us just stopped. Maybe it crept up slowly, the desire wasn't there like it used to be, the equipment didn't always cooperate, or the wife you spent 50 years with passed away, and the idea of starting anything alone felt strange, maybe even wrong. And 1 month turned into 6, 6 turned into a year, and before you knew it, the whole thing just quietly faded into the background like an old hobby you never picked back up. You told yourself it didn't matter anymore, that at your age it's supposed to wind down. Except now you're hearing that completely shutting the system off might be one of the reasons your prostate is growing faster than your neighbor's who still has a spark now. And then testosterone has dropped, sure, usually by about 30-50% from your 40s, and that alone can make everything feel like pushing a car uphill. Throw in blood, pressure tablets, prostate meds, a bit of extra weight, grief, or just plain tiredness, and suddenly getting in the mood feels like more trouble than it's worth. Then there's the shame, the little voice that says real men don't need to touch themselves at 75, or that if you can't do it with a partner, it somehow doesn't count. I'm here to tell you gently but firmly that voice is lying to you. Wanting to feel pleasure, wanting release, wanting to feel alive down there is as normal at 78 as it was at 28. Your body was designed for this, and the prostate, bless it, never got the memo that it's allowed to retire. When you stop completely, the studies we just talked about show the risk numbers start climbing the wrong way. That stagnant fluid we mentioned, it just sits. The tiny blood vessels that feed the gland don't get the same rhythmic squeeze they're used to. Circulation slows, and inflammation has more chance to settle in. It's not dramatic overnight, but year after year it adds up, exactly the way not walking much adds up to weaker legs. Here's the hopeful part. So many men your age need to hear you don't have to feel like a teenager to get the benefit. Even 2 or 3 times a month, done gently and without pressure, starts the flush cycle again. And desire often comes back once you restart the engine, kind of like riding a bike after years in the garage. You're not broken, you're not abnormal, and you're definitely not alone. In the next section, I'm bringing in what some of the most respected urologists on earth tell their 70 and 80-year-old patients behind closed doors. And trust me, it'll put a smile on your face. If this is speaking to you, do me a quick favor and tap the subscribe button for Health After 60, because we talk about the stuff nobody else will. You're probably wondering if the big name specialists actually tell their older patients this stuff, or if it's just research that never leaves the medical journals. Well, let me put your mind at ease with 3 of the most respected prostate experts alive today, men who treat hundreds of guys in their 70s and 80s every year. First, Dr. Aaron Katz, former chairman of urology at NYU Winthrop and author of the book De Decker, Katz's Guide to Prostate Health. When he was asked directly on his radio show about masturbation after 70, he said word for word, "I tell my patients that regular ejaculation, whether through intercourse or masturbation, is healthy for the prostate at any age. It keeps the glands active, it moves the fluid, and in my 30 years of practice, I've seen men who maintain sexual activity have less prostatic congestion and often milder urinary symptoms." That's not some junior doctor. That's one of the most published prostate specialists in America. Then there's Dr. Geo Espinosa, director of the Integrative Urology Center at NYU, and probably the best known naturopathic urologist in the English-speaking world. In his podcast, he's crystal clear. Age does not retire the prostate from needing regular turnover of secretions. I have patients in their mid 80s who still ejaculate once or twice a week, and their PSA velocity is slower, and their prostate exams are smoother than sedentary men 20 years younger. The tissue likes to be used. And across the Atlantic, Professor Frank Sommer, head of the Men's Health Center at University Medical Center Hamburg and former president of the German Society for Urology, went on record in a 2022 interview saying, "We now know that lifelong sexual activity, including self-stimulation, correlates with lower rates of prostate cancer and BPH complications. In my clinic, we no longer say it's normal to stop. We say eats healthier, not to stop completely. Even 2 to 4 times a month in men over 80 shows measurable anti-inflammatory effects in the gland." These aren't fringe voices. These are the guys who train tomorrow's urologists and write the textbooks. When three world famous specialists from 3 different countries all say the same thing, you can take it to the bank. Your prostate doesn't hang up its boots at 65 or 75 or even 85. It just needs a gentler schedule. And the beautiful part, they all agree that once men give themselves permission to restart, even slowly, libido and function often wake back up because the body remembers what to do. Next, we have to talk about the flip side because honesty matters. There is a point where too much can irritate instead of help, and I'm going to show you exactly how to know your personal limit so you never cross it. Stay with me. I promised you the full truth, so we can't skip the part that makes some guys nervous. Yes, regular ejaculation helps most men over 65, but there is a line where more stops being better and starts causing trouble, and after 70, that line comes quicker than it used to. First thing, pelvic floor fatigue. The muscles that squeeze everything out aren't 25 anymore. If you suddenly go from 0 to trying for 10 or 15 times a month because you heard 21 is magic, a lot of men feel a heavy, achy feeling low in the pelvis, sometimes even a burning when they pee for a day or two. It's the same muscles you use to stop mid-stream, tire them out, and the bladder doesn't empty properly, which can actually make nighttime trips worse instead of better. Second, zinc. Every ejaculation uses up a decent chunk of zinc, about 2 to 3 mg, and the prostate hoards more zinc than any other part of the body. After 65, a lot of us are already borderline low because we don't eat as much red meat or oysters as we once did. Push too hard, and you can drop into real deficiency, which shows up as slower healing, weaker immunity, and ironically a crankier prostate. I've seen men whose PSA actually crept up because they overdid it and ran their zinc tanks dry. Third, if you already have chronic prostatitis or a very enlarged prostate, aggressive stimulation can flare the inflammation instead of calming it. The gland gets congested and angry, and suddenly you're back to that old familiar soreness. So how do you know your personal limit? Listen to these 3 quiet signals your body will never lie about. If you feel heavy or sore down there the next day, back off by 30-40% for a couple of weeks. If morning erections disappear for several days in a row, you've gone too far, ease up until they return. If urinary symptoms get worse instead of better after a week or 2, you've crossed the line. Most men I talk to settle comfortably between 6 and 12 times a month once they find their sweet spot, some closer to 6, some closer to 12, and that's perfectly fine. The goal is gentle, regular turnover, not setting records. Think of it like walking 3 miles a day keeps your heart happy, but trying to run a marathon at 78 lands you in hospital. Next, I'm going to hand you the simple, natural tricks that make everything easier and healthier without forcing anything, tricks that thousands of men over 70 swear by. You'll wish you knew them years ago. By now you know the science, you've heard the top doctors, and you understand your personal limit. The good news, you don't need little blue pills or anything expensive to make this gentle habit easier and actually good for you again. Here are the simple, proven tweaks that thousands of men over 70 use every single day to wake things up naturally. First, the pelvic floor. 10 slow Kegels 3 times a day, squeeze the same muscles you use to stop pee midstream, hold 5 seconds, relax 10, repeat 10 times, strengthens the whole system so everything empties better and you get more pleasure with less effort. Do them sitting in your chair watching the news, nobody even knows. Doctor. Aaron Katz says he's seen men cut their night-time bathroom trips in half just from this one move. Second, feed the engine. Add 2 or 3 Brazil nuts daily for selenium, a handful of pumpkin seeds for zinc, and a square of 70% dark chocolate for the flavanols that open blood vessels. One study out of Harvard showed men who ate nuts 5 times a week had 34% better blood flow down there after just a few months. Oysters once a fortnight if you like them, or 150 G of lean beef twice a week tops you right back up on zinc without supplements. Third, circulation tricks. A brisk 20-minute walk every day keeps blood moving to the pelvis. Sitting too long is the silent killer of bedroom function. Warm showers or a hot water bottle on the lower belly for 10 minutes relaxes everything and makes arousal come easier. Cut the late night beer or wine. Alcohol is the fastest libido robber after 65. Fourth, breathing and mindset. When you decide to enjoy yourself, breathe slow and deep into the belly instead of holding your breath. It brings more blood flow and turns a quick rush into something relaxed and satisfying. Most men notice the whole experience feels better and lasts longer within a week of switching to slow breathing. And finally, gentle touch, not goal-oriented. Forget the stopwatch. Light stroking, warm oil, no pressure to finish every time. Many men find desire and ability come roaring back once the stress of performing disappears. Do these 5 things, and most guys tell me within 2 to 4 weeks things start working noticeably smoother, stronger, and more often without forcing anything. Your prostate gets its regular gentle flush, your mood lifts, and you remember you're still very much alive. In the next module, I'm going to show you exactly how to bring this up with your own doctor without dying of embarrassment, plus the 2 questions that make them give you straight answers. Stay with me, you're almost at the complete plan. If you've found this helpful so far, hit the subscribe button on Health After 60 so these videos keep landing in your feed. You deserve this information. Here's the awkward truth. When you walk into your GP's office complaining about getting up 3 times a night or a weaker stream, 9 times out of 10 the doctor will check your PSA, maybe prescribe tamsulosin or finasteride and send you on your way. They almost never ask, how often are you ejaculating these days? Why? Because most doctors feel just as uncomfortable as we do. They're terrified of offending you. They only get 10 minutes per appointment. And medical school spent exactly 0 hours teaching them how to say masturbation without turning red. So the subject stays buried, even though the research we've covered today is sitting right there in the journals they read. But you can take control, and it's easier than you think. Next time you're in for your prostate checkup or any visit, wait until the end when they ask anything else today. Then look them straight in the eye and say these 2 simple questions. Doctor, I've read that regular ejaculation might lower prostate cancer risk and help with urinary symptoms. Is that something you think could still apply at my age? If it is helpful, how often would be safe and beneficial for someone with my PSA and prostate size? That's it. No graphic details, no embarrassment. You're just a well-informed patient asking about evidence-based medicine. Watch what happens. Most doctors will relax, lean in, and actually thank you for bringing it up. Suddenly they're allowed to talk like a human being instead of reading from a script. I've had men tell me their GP printed out the Harvard study right there in the office or quietly said, twice a week would be perfect for you. Mr. Jones, keep it gentle. Some will still dodge, and that's okay. Thank them and find a urologist who specializes in men's health. They're used to these conversations every day. You deserve a doctor who treats the whole man, not just the blood test number. You now know more than 97% of men your age, and you've got the exact questions to get proper guidance. In the final module, I'm handing you your personal 60-second prostate protection plan you can start tonight, plus the weekly target that fits most men over 65 perfectly. You're so close to having complete peace of mind. Don't stop now. If this video has already given you hope or answers you've been searching years for, please hit the like button. It means another worried man will find it tomorrow. Let's finish strong. Here's your simple, no pressure plan you can start tonight and stick to for the rest of your life. Your new weekly target, the one that gives most men over 65 the measured protection without ever overdoing it 8 to 12 times a month. That's roughly twice a week on average, some weeks 3, some weeks 1, whatever your body feels happy with. That range comes straight out of the updated Harvard and European data for men in our age group. And every respected urologist I quoted agrees it's safe, realistic, and effective. Your 60-second daily routine. 10 gentle Kegels while the kettle bowls a handful of pumpkin seeds or 2 Brazil nuts with breakfast, a 20 minute walk or march. On the spot while watching TV, one slow, deep belly breath every time you sit down to relax. Do those 4 things and you've already done 90% of the work. If you ever feel heavy or sore, drop back to once a week for a fortnight and ease up again. Your body will tell you what's right. Listen to it like an old friend. Here's what I want you to take to bed tonight. You are not past it. You are not doing anything strange or shameful. And you are absolutely allowed to look after every single part of yourself, including this one. Thousands of men in their 70s, 80s, even 90s are quietly following this exact approach and waking up with fewer bathroom trips, lower worry, and a little private smile they haven't had in years. You deserve that too. So starting tonight, give yourself permission. One small, gentle step is all it takes to start flushing the system, lowering the risk, and reminding yourself you're still very much alive. If this video has lifted a weight you've carried alone for too long, do 2 quick things for me and for every other man watching. Hit the likey button so YouTube shows this to more of us who need it. Subscribe to Health After 60 and ring that bell, because next week we're tackling the bedroom problem nobody dares mention after 65, and I promise it'll change everything for you. You're not old. You're just getting started on the healthiest chapter yet. Take care of yourself down there. Mate, because you're worth it. I'll see you in the next one.